Welcome to everybody, and thank you for joining us this evening. We want to take the opportunity tonight to inform and educate our citizens in regards to our proposed referendum. And before I get started, I want to just share with all of you that we are recording this session tonight, and the recording will go on our website for those individuals who aren't able to make or attend this session, that they could review and observe the session at their convenience. The microphones in this room are very precise, and so be very careful with whispering or shuffling of your papers, because that information will be picked up and people online won't be able to hear. So with that, we'll get started. For those of you who haven't been a part of Moraine Park, either inside our buildings before, or maybe you attended the college at some point in your career, we wanted to take you through a kind of an upfresh of what has been going on at the college for the last several years. We created a short video to give you a feel of what type of careers that we are training the citizens of this community and our district on. So with that, we have a few minute video clip here that we'd like to share with you.
Moraine Park Technical College is part of the Wisconsin Technical College system and serves more than 12,000 students across 10 counties at all stages of life and careers. Moraine Park has campuses in Beaver Dam, Fond du Lac, and West Bend, and plays a crucial role in training students for industry-critical jobs. The college offers endless opportunities for learning and professional development, with more than 100 of Associate of Applied Science degrees, Associate of Science and Arts degrees, technical diplomas, apprenticeships and certificates, as well as limitless customized training opportunities. Moraine Park programs help fill some of the most in-demand, innovative, and high-paying jobs in the district, and Moraine Park students, alumni, and business connections contribute to the robust business and industry efforts that enrich Wisconsin and beyond. On November 8, 2022, residents of the Moraine Park Technical College District, which includes Dodge, Fond du Lac, Green Lake, Washington, and portions of 6 surrounding counties, will be asked to vote on a referendum authorizing the college to grow and expand facilities. These enhancements and improvements would target programs that are in high demand in the career areas of robotics and automation, public safety, manufacturing, technology, healthcare, apprenticeships, and workforce training. Moraine Park must update and expand facilities to respond to the growing workforce shortages, accommodate evolving industry expectations, address evolving technology, provide greater access to all district communities, provide facilities for district high school partnerships, align with community expectations and workforce training requirements, and keep our region competitive by preparing students and workforces for the future.
Whoops. So again, I hope that video just gave you a snapshot of who we are, what we do, and what our learners experience when they come here. This slide just shows you what our mission statement is, and we are built on creating innovative learning experiences. And when I say that, it means not only hands-on opportunities to learn and grow, but higher education today is much more based on simulation and collaborative and flexible workspaces, which is part of the reason why we wanted to share our story with you and our vision. And lifelong learning, which is part of our vision statement, means that no longer do learners go to school and just get their high school diploma or just get a few classes in their early years. More often than not, because the world is changing so fast, people will be continuing to go to college and gaining other opportunities and credentials for growth throughout their life. One of the things I want to just clarify, I know people don't always understand what our statutory purpose is. So when we were created over 100 years ago, our statutory purposes really are a couple different things. First of all, we were defined and created to provide occupational training and retraining for our residents, including apprentices, to obtain knowledge and skills for technical and skilled work-related occupations. Secondly, we are to provide customized training for our businesses in our community. So oftentimes we either take our faculty out to the employers and train the incumbent workforce, or those incumbent workers come here for training, if that makes better sense for the company. And the third thing that we are created for is to provide contracts with high schools to provide high school learners opportunities to learn a skilled trade for advancement and employment. So just wanted to share that with you as well. For those of you who aren't aware, let me just reiterate the map that you saw in the videotape. So we are here in Fond du Lac. Fond du Lac is the base campus for Moraine Park Technical College. We have a very quite large campus also in West Bend, which is in Washington County, and a smaller campus in Beaver Dam, which is quite frankly, it's landlocked. It's right next door to the local high school there. You probably see it on the way to Madison along Highway 151. What I want to share with you here is you'll see that we serve primarily 4 counties and then portions of 6 other counties. So we literally have 130 municipalities within our district. And so the tax burden related to this referendum would be spread evenly among the 130 municipalities and the residents therein, regardless of where the projects are and regardless of where you live. So I just wanted to make that clear. That's kind of different and unique to, for instance, a community referendum or a school district referendum. We actually have over 360,000 residents within our district, and annually we serve about 12,000 students and actually award about 2,000 credentials, meaning associate degrees, technical diplomas, certificates, and so on. So just wanted to give you an idea of who we are again and where we're located. As again mentioned in the video, we are asking the citizens to vote on a $55 million referendum on Election Day, November 8th. And again, we'll be asking voters to either vote yes or no to all 4 projects or none of the projects. It's not a selection process. I also wanted to share with all of you that this is not a solution that was created in the last few months. We've spent nearly 2 years planning this, and just want to give you a little bit of background. So in November of 2020, we actually came to our district board with the idea of moving forward with a referendum. For those of you who have been in this community for a very long time, it was actually before I became an employee here at the college. My understanding is the college went for a referendum approval back in 1980, and that request failed. So the college has never had a successful referendum. Just wanted you to be aware of that. I will tell you that the conversation surrounding this referendum is primarily based on employer need. I also will tell you that we as a college create master facility plans. We're required to do a 3-year master facility plan every year that we submit to our state office. But we as a college actually do a 10-year plan. And the 10-year plan right now is close to $30 million in remodeling and addition work that, quite frankly, we probably will never be able to afford. And the reason why is because we have a statutory limit that we can only add $1.5 million onto a campus every 2 years. Now, 30 years ago, $1.5 million might have been a significant footprint of space that we could build on, but today it doesn't go very far. So I wanted you to be aware that we statutorily cannot do the projects that we're looking at doing. And most people ask me during these sessions, what happens if the referendum fails? And I will tell you that most of the projects that you'll hear about tonight, we will not be able to accomplish because the scope is too large. So just want to tell you that. So again, getting back to the timeline, we've been nearly 2 years into the planning process. January of 2021, we put together a project team. We had to put together competitive bids to help us find consultants to help us navigate. We did a ton of research. We interviewed a lot of community groups, parent groups, student groups, community-based organizations, but quite frankly, the employer groups is what vetted out the priorities that you see tonight. And we spent a lot of time over the summer months creating a laundry list of ideas that were probably 10 pages long of new programs and facility changes that people thought we should invest in. And we spent some time narrowing it down to these 4 projects that we'll share with you tonight. We did a random sample survey back in April to say these, actually we started with 5 projects, and the voter survey shared back that they would support 4 projects at the cost of $55 million instead of the 5 projects, which we initially scoped out at $75 million. So again, the 4 projects were vetted out. Just last month at our August board meeting, our district board gave approval to move forward for the referendum ask of $55 million. So the need is, as I explained to you, quite significant. We're doing what we can to respond to our workforce needs. We have a lot of evolving technology. We wanted to make sure that we have access to the training that our employers needed. One of the things that we've been hearing a lot about from our employers, I think most of you know if you've lived in our communities, nearly 30% of our employer base is manufacturing. And a significant, probably close to 20% is related to healthcare. So when you take those 2 employer bases and look at the needs of labor shortages, that's what really prompted a lot of what we're explaining to you tonight. Job projections show that in manufacturing alone, in the next 10 years, again, this is our district, it's not the state of Wisconsin, within our district, in the next 10 years, we will see 14,000 job openings in manufacturing and trades, 14,000. And in the healthcare area, we will see 8,000 job openings in healthcare and trades. Again, that's within our district. And so we needed to figure out a way to help the solution by reskilling and upskilling. And one of the other things that we hear a lot about is our employers are working very closely with our K-12 partners, trying to get, employees as young as the high school age, in some cases middle school age, because they're so desperate for workers. And so the employers come to us and say, Bonnie, we really need you and your team to figure out solutions to get these individuals credentialed and trained, upskilled, so that when they graduate high school, they can at least have an entry-level credential. And so we're doing more of that. Part of the referendum ask includes additional space so that we can invite high school learners into our facility. If the high school doesn't have either their credentialed staff, the faculty to teach at the high school location, they're able to come here for some advanced level credentialing. This is just a quote by Dr. Eden, who's in the audience tonight. He's right that if the referendum doesn't pass, it'll take us 15 to 20 years to catch up on some of the remodelings. And as I mentioned a little earlier, some of the projects we have on the table in the referendum would not even occur even without the referendum because the scope and the cost is too great. The projects itself. So this is the list of the 4 projects. We'll cover these if you weren't able to, if you're joining us in on site. We actually have packets of information that you can grab here up front and take with you. And we certainly will answer any questions you might have a little bit later. So there's 4 projects, 2 in Fond du Lac, so 2 at this campus, 1 at the West Bend campus, and 1 in a regional area that we haven't found in a parcel of land yet. We're working and negotiating on a couple different options, but ideally we want to look at a space in Dodge County. We'll talk a little bit more about that. So the first project I want to talk about is what we call advanced manufacturing and trades enhancement. And the word enhancement means that it's going to be a combination of remodel and some addition work. And if you again look at the photos on the handouts available tonight, there is an addition that we are actually capital campaigning for. If you're familiar with what we've been doing here at the college, we have actually been capital campaigning for the last 10 months to raise $2.5 million to build an automation, innovation, and robotics center here in this community at this campus. And the reason I want to share that is because we're not quite there yet, but we hope to complete the campaign in February of 23. And so what I want to share with you is that the referendum dollars include some infrastructure work and parking lots related to the Air Center project, but literally that's a standalone project. And the reason I wanted to do it that way is because if the referendum fails, there's such a critical need for automation and robotics within our community that I wanted at least that footprint and maybe a little bit smaller scope in scale, but I wanted that project to move forward. So I wanted to clarify that in the picture on your paper. Again, so it's really a primarily infrastructure work for a 15,500 square foot addition. There's a small entryway on the north side of that manufacturing wing that we need to enhance, but quite frankly, the majority of the money in the $13.7 million budget is to cover a 30,000 square foot remodel. And the reason we need the remodel is if you've never been down to our manufacturing and trades wing, it's one of the oldest areas of the college. It really needs a refresh. We've got smaller classrooms, smaller labs, none of it's collaborative learning spaces. We really need to open it up and recreate some spaces. For example, in the auto lab, we don't have a space to train on electric vehicles. We want to enhance that opportunity for our auto mechanic training. We had just started an electrical apprenticeship cohort this fall. We want an opportunity to really give them a hands-on lab that meets the needs of the electrical apprentices and so on. So again, a lot of hands-on specialized simulation training, which is not something you and I perhaps experienced when we went to college. Today it's very high tech, very much high touch. And again, our labs right now in classrooms are tired and they're just outdated, and we don't have enough space to accommodate the equipment and technology we need at this point in time. Additionally, as I mentioned, we wanted to bring high school learners onto our campus. This would allow us to do that. And right now, our incumbent workforce training, that means the employees of our employer partners are coming here for training. We don't have enough space for them as well. So we want to create more open spaces, allow collaborative training to go on simultaneously, and leverage the facilities to the best that we can. So that's that one, $13.7 million. This would be the first project that we probably would take on starting in May of this coming spring. The next project, I'm going to just jump down to the West Bend campus because it's a similar project, but quite different. So again, if you have the sheets in front of you, the West Bend project is primarily an addition. It's not a lot of remodeling. So this addition would be, if we're $18.5 million, the addition would be 46,000 square feet. It would allow us to do significant more manufacturing programs. Right now, our manufacturing space at our West Bend campus is primarily CNC, which is computer numerical control training, and tool and die. So again, a lot of employer growth in the West Bend, Washington County area. It's one of our high growth areas within our district. For example, Milwaukee Tool just recently built a production facility down there, already talking about expansion. We have an employer like Signacast, multiple expansions in the last several years. Both of them are employers with very advanced automation and robotics. They cannot find the skilled workforce to take on the technical skills they need to run automated machines, to leverage having less of a workforce, but still being able to maximize production. So again, this project would be a build of 46,000 square feet. It would accomplish a couple different things. So it would allow us to actually add 7 new manufacturing related programs to that campus to address, again, K-12 learner experiences, apprenticeship training, and incumbent workforce training. Additionally, we have a small regional center in the village of Jackson. We would like to bring those programs to our campus in West Bend. Right now, that village training center includes welding and fabrication. We'd like to bring those programs to our campus and allow our students to be fully involved in student engagement and other resource opportunities that we offer at the campus. Additionally, and so that would allow us to eliminate that lease cost, which is about $64,000 a year. So we would like to create that. Part of the project, again, if you have the sheets in front of you, is to reposition the front door, if you will, the main entrance of that campus. If you haven't been to the West Bend campus, it's along Highway D, right off of Highway 45. And right now, the main entrance is positioned to the back of the building. We'd like to reposition that front door so that it's visible from Highway D. And then also create a small conference center because we don't currently have large meeting spaces on that campus to accommodate. Sometimes we have groups of 50 or 100 or even more. And so that would allow us to do that. This project as well would be a priority that we would like to start in next year as well, in May of 2023. The third project is what we're calling the fire training facility. We're looking at a regional fire training center, if you will. For those of you in the fire training space, we, by statute, are to train the firefighters and related professions. Right now, we do that in the back parking lot of our Beaver Dam campus. So imagine, if you will, a small mobile trailer, probably the size of a large RV, that we use for controlled fires to train the firefighters. We also have a very small 2-story fire tower, so they can practice going up steps and so on. So certainly it's worked well over the years, but that type of concept is again, end of life. And so we would like to create a much more advanced and robust and comprehensive training solution for the firefighters that we serve. If you're not aware, we serve more than 40 volunteer and paid fire departments. And so one of the questions I'll answer right away, because people in Fond du Lac County are asking me, why don't you just use the regional center that's built off of Highway 41 in North Fond du Lac? And I will tell you that their scheduling and demand needs for that training center are much different than ours, right? We would need to schedule day, evening, weekend classes there that don't necessarily match what their needs are. And to be quite honest, more importantly, we need a location that's central to our district. So imagine if you are in a small community, you have a small volunteer fire department, and we're expecting those volunteer fire department firefighters to take their equipment and in some cases their engines to this training facility. If you live in the southern part of our district and you have to travel all the way to North Fond du Lac, that community then is left with potentially an issue. And so we want to create a central location for the regional training center that would require us to acquire a parcel of land. So our vision is we would have a 14,000 square foot facility. Again, that's printed on your paper. But in addition to that, we would have a separate, it's not on your paper as part of the picture, but a separate 3-story fire training tower, which would allow us to do elevator shaft and multiple scenarios for firefighting, rope rappelling, and some other scenarios that our firefighters may need to address. Additionally, we'd like to create a dry pond on this space so that we could do underwater and frozen ice rescue and allow our volunteer fire departments and I suppose the paid ones as well to actually extract water from the pond to put out the fires. And so again, a lot of different props. We're also looking at a rail car prop and some other props that will just specialize training for the firefighters to give them the experience they need. That project is $9.3 million. And so that project as well would allow us to also, depending on where we land on this, we actually had a conversation with the city of Horicon today. So there's an opportunity perhaps in that community, but it would allow us, if we decided to do something there, if we were able to negotiate that and the referendum did pass, we'd actually be able to allow that that campus to be used by the K-12s within that area. For example, Horicon School District or Husesford or some of those smaller rural areas, as well as incumbent workforce training for the big employers like John Deere and some others to utilize that space. This project is scheduled to begin in November of 23. And the last project that's on our list, the 4th project, coming back here to Fond du Lac, we would like to again have to do something, we call it an enhancement to our Health and Human Services facility. So we have a trades and manufacturing wing we talked about earlier. We also have another wing that's really related to health, human service, public safety, childcare, and some of our advanced science courses. So this project itself will also be a remodeling, if you will, of 22,000 square feet. One of the things we have here on this campus, which if you've never visited here, it's kind of crazy to imagine, but we have welding and fabrication lab inside our healthcare wing. So that the earlier project would allow us to move those manufacturing programs over to the trades wing where they belong. And that would free up and vacate some space in our healthcare wing to build out a brand new health simulation suite. So I think all of us in the room know the struggles our healthcare partners have had over the last few years with COVID in attracting and retaining workers. One of the things that really was difficult to address was getting the clinical hour requirements for all of the higher ed students. No matter what college you're at, you have to get on-site clinical learning hours of experience. And part of that solution was creating very advanced, robust simulation suites. So again, if you've never experienced one of these, we have these high-end, I call them, they call them simulators, but they're high-end mannequins, right, that can breathe and sweat and bleed and do every other bodily function. And it gives all of our students an opportunity to learn very advanced scenarios in a very safe environment before they actually have to work on real people. So we're excited about that opportunity. Our healthcare providers really need this type of training. It allows our students to get their clinical hours in more advanced opportunities than maybe just having to wait for a clinical site experience to open up. So again, that's one of the things. Also, the labs and classroom updates will allow us to have some of our other accredited healthcare programs be in safe and advanced learning environments, whether it's respiratory care, we have a surgical technology program, radiation, medical lab technician, and so on. The other part of the healthcare project is we're actually looking to put an addition on, an 11,000 square foot addition on the east side of the campus then. We don't have any planned programs for that today, but I will tell you that with the boomer generation aging, we're going to need to add some more advanced healthcare type programs. Additionally, we're also thinking about potentially using that space for childcare education. Again, two critical needs for our communities. $13.3 million for that project. That would probably, that would probably be the last project that we do starting in November as well, in 2024. So the slide I just put up, one of the things people ask me is, what's it going to cost me? So again, I mentioned earlier that the tax burden, if you will, would be spread to all 130 municipalities throughout our district. So the cost impact would be 21 cents per $1,000 of value. So you can do the math based on the valuation of your property, but here's a quick calculation. $100,000 would be $21 per year. Now that is costed out, if you will, if we borrowed all $55 million at once, which we will not be able to do. Likely our borrowing will be spread out over 2 to 3 years. Additionally, we're allowed to borrow monies up to 20 years. We don't know if we will do that or not. I will tell you that the college has been very fiscally responsible in our debt borrowing. We have very high credit rating. We typically borrow money for equipment over 5 years, and we typically borrow money for facility additions and remodeling over 10 years. So 20 years would be a long time for us. So we'll see what the numbers look like. As mentioned here, the first borrowing would be spring of 2023. What else did I want to share? Again, people ask me, Bonnie, what happens if the referendum fails? I talked about it earlier. We would continue to do incremental remodels, but it would take us 15 to 20 years to do some of these projects. But for sure, some of the addition work would probably be off the table, because the only other option we have is to raise the money through private donation or referendum. The next opportunity for us to come back to the voters for referendum approval would be the presidential election in November of 2024. So just wanted to share that with you as well. There's a lot of information out here. We have our website that we continue to update almost daily because we continue to get questions, and our marketing team is working with me to make sure that we bring responses out there. We obviously will gather the questions you have for us this evening as well, and hopefully expand and continue to expand the education and share information in more detail about how important the project is in our mind and to the employer base on the economic and future development of workforce in our community. With that, I'm going to stop and just ask any questions. There is a short video at the end here that I'll show for those of you who can stay. I think we're going to monitor any online questions first. So Emily is looking at the chat to see if there's any online viewers that have questions first. And if I can't answer that, I'm just going to point to one of my experts in the room and they'll help answer the question. So Emily, any online questions at this time?
Not yet. I see Mandy's working on one, but you can go ahead and take them from the room.
All right. Anybody here with a question? If you do, please raise your hand and speak loudly and clearly so that everyone online can hear you. Yes, ma'am.
On the Health and Human Services facility, you say the new simulation spaces that will allow 128 new nurses. How many nurses are we graduating currently? Is this 128 in addition to them, or is this including them?
Dr. Rice or Dr. Eden?
We annually we take in 64 nurses that can go through our facility given accreditation limitations to class sizes and equipment. So that number would be included within that. So we'll be able to double our capacity to go through it in the nursing program.
Wonderful.
Did you have another question, ma'am?
Well, I was just going, I was on your website trying to get more information and I'm just thinking, just as a suggestion that this would have been really great to have. I don't know if you want, if you can add these handouts or not, but yeah, these answered many of the questions that I was
Okay,
looking for.
point taken. We will have those added by tomorrow. Yes, ma'am.
What is the distribution of that nursing total? Is it LPN, CNA? Is it?
I think we're just talking nursing, correct?
Associate degree nurses, they're registered nurses.
Okay, RN. So
RNs.
LPN, you have an LPN program, right?
We do.
But that's not part of any increase there for this community here.
It
Right
could,
now.
depending on, because usually our LPNs transition to RNs,
Okay, yeah.
that's first year and then second year, so those blend together. And then you asked about CNA, and so CNA is a whole separate,
Mhm.
that's several hundred, because we do those in the high schools as well as on campus.
Will there be any benefit to the CNA graduates? Will that be increased by default if you have a better nursing?
Probably, and I think the other thing that Bonnie was talking about from a simulation standpoint, and we experienced this with COVID, a lot of times our students could not get into facilities, especially CNAs and nursing homes. And so now they would be able to do a lot of that work in our simulation center. So if they couldn't get into nursing homes or whatever to do their clinicals, they could have those experiences as part of the simulation. So that's kind of the really helpful piece about having a high-end simulation center. Hopefully we won't have to go through COVID again. No one ever wants to go through that again, but we'll just pretend that there's something else that causes those kinds of lockdowns where people can't get in. Still gives us an opportunity, if not to meet all the needs, certainly many of the needs within a simulation center.
And the state testing people are okay with
Yep.
just a simulation, not an actual hands-on?
Yep, we went through that all as part of, we had the opportunity to experience that as part of this last COVID thing. And it's interesting to mention that because there was some convincing of them that we were actually able to provide all experiences through simulation.
And then there's feedback
Yeah.
provided by the
Yeah.
patients or whatever?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, and like Bonnie was saying, our high fidelity simulators, they really do provide very realistic kinds of activities that students can not only learn those, but demonstrate skill attainment right on a simulator.
Other questions from the room? Yes, ma'am.
I know this is probably going to sound stupid to everybody else here, but the way the economy is going right now, everything is so high priced. There's a lot of places where people are not going back to work. Why is it at this time when everything is so bad, do they want to perform a referendum now to expand and even tax everybody now for something that you don't even know when this is going to end?
Fair question. I think when's the right time for a referendum? Back in 2020, did we know that we were in the midst of an inflation? Absolutely not. But I will tell you that there's never a right time. I would say if we wait 2 years, 5 years, 7 years to come back to the referendum, there's no guarantee that costs will be any better, that our taxing authority will still be here. And in the meantime, all of our employers are going to continue to struggle with upskilling and reskilling and getting the workforce they need to take care of us. So you're right. Could I go back in time and say we should have done a referendum 4 years ago, 6, whatever? Absolutely. But it is what it is. I don't really know that. I don't have the crystal ball to say if I wait 2 years or 4 years or 6 years, the costs and everything else will be better. I don't know the answer to that.
And they don't even want to speculate that maybe after the next election, whoever they get in, things might look a little bit better than what they do now.
No.
Because I think you're asking a lot for people on low income. My husband and I don't make that much on Social Security, And to tax us now it just seems harder on us now than it would maybe just wait for 2 years. Like you said, you don't want to wait for 2 years because you don't know what it's going to be like. But nobody knows what anything's going to be like tomorrow, for that matter.
I do. I certainly respect your situation. I'm not naive in thinking that everybody would, want to be in a position to vote for this. And so, you obviously have to share, your vote based on your own personal situation. I totally understand that. Yes, sir.
Have you figured out what the cost of the employees to run this?
We have operate.
Yeah, that money is not included in the.
Correct.
So that would be the taxpayers from then on.
Well, it's a combination of state aid that we get and federal dollars and tuition dollars and contract revenue. And so we've got various revenue options to offset the cost of the operations. But
So
yes, you're correct.
how much is it going to increase?
I don't have that number in front of me. Anybody here with that information? We have it. I'm sorry, I don't have that in front of me.
I have a question along with that. Is this faculty available? I mean, are people out there waiting to move to Fond du Lac and West Bend or have you done any research on the faculty that will be needed?
Well, some of the positions that we're looking at are high demand in the private industry, right? And so the question is, can we afford them? We can't pay advanced manufacturing, robotics instructors what they will make in private. That's just the fact. Obviously, most people that work here do it primarily because of passion and purpose. I don't think anybody works here because they're making a ton more money than they could in the private world. So it's really a matter of attracting and retaining individuals who are looking for a different level of work-life balance and a different mission purpose. We have been able to fill, in fact, this last year, we had a robotics instructor resign. We were able to fill that position. We had a number of nursing faculty retirements this last year. We were able to fill all those. And so you're right, there's no guarantee that we can fill some of these positions, but we've been okay in filling some of these advanced high demand area faculty positions.
When the places like Aurora right now, they're expanding out here on 23.
Yes.
Don't they have that included in their building project, their plans to help educate nurses and stuff? I mean, don't they set up classrooms there too and help educate people that want to be nurses?
I'm not familiar with the new space they're building. I don't know if anybody else is here in the healthcare.
I mean, does anybody do that?
Typically, the hospitals don't do that. They're relying on higher education.
So they rely on colleges, the tech colleges or the Marian universities and the UW system folks to train and educate the.
Well, I understand because I got a granddaughter going.
And part of that rationale is they want accreditation. They don't want the hospital to train and accredit their nurses. They want that all the accrediting bodies, Department of Health, Human Health Services, they have very rigorous standards. Those are primarily that education and those standards are done through higher education, and then they take the NCLEX test to do that. So most of the hospitals do not do that. They do provide, as I said earlier, they do provide practicum sites so that our students can go in there. That's pretty much what they do. Some are starting to do some CNA classes, but not a lot. I mean, I think just from their perspective, they're in the healthcare business, not the education business. I mean, that's kind of how they think about it.
Anything online?
No.
Okay. Any other questions? We continue to have these forums. We'll continue to upgrade update the website with FAQ information as we learn more about what people are looking for and some of the questions. We'll continue to offer this. We do have additional sessions scheduled for West Bend and Beaver Dam. You can join those virtually, or if you want to invite neighbors and friends to do the same, you're welcome to do that. But we want to take this opportunity to thank you for coming. I do want to end with, if you know this gentleman, he's been a longtime partner of Moraine Park Technical College. This is Aaron Sadoff. He recently resigned as the superintendent of North Fond du Lac School District and now serves as the executive director for the Fond du Lac Area Community Foundation. So I'd like to share a video clip that he shared with us.
I think when we start looking at this referendum or any referendum that we look at to improve the ability for educating our workforce, it's bigger than just what's going on in our lives. It has a huge impact on the quality of life that we have, the type of people that live in our community, and the services that we can provide, which is going to impact people who live here and how many. MPTC has been a critical part not only in the facilities and how they can be utilized to host and make our community better, but the programs that a student coming out of high school or a student that's coming back from the military or somebody that's 45 years old and wants to make a change can do. And it's a very, very valuable resource within our community. Supporting Moraine Park and their mission of helping students learn, helping students transition into different careers is paramount. Our economy will continually change. The skill sets needed for different careers and jobs will continually change. Four-year universities aren't built to be able to pivot and to help educate the way that the new skills are needed. And that's the thing that Moraine Park can bring to all of our different counties. What I really like about referendums and my history with them in the school district is it's the communities that get to decide, do we want this? Do we want to improve ourselves based on what they're saying? Do we want to be a better place for people to learn? Do we want our technical colleges to be something that's state of the art that people come to, that our own people, our own residents can utilize, that can make our workforce better? And if the answer is yes, then people will support that. And having those four counties together, it really lightens the load for an impact that could be huge, and not only an individual's life or a handful. We're talking hundreds of people that will utilize these programs, plus how it will even make our communities better and stronger. One way that I can say to people about finding the value in what Moraine Park is all about is, go down 151 and look off to your right-hand side in Beaver Dam and see what's there, and see the amount of cars that are there, learning going on. Come in on Highway 23 into Fond du Lac as you're going through town, the technical college there. When you have your kids playing soccer, see what it is. See all the different people that are going. Look at even the motorcycle training that's going on the weekend. Go off of 45 when you're down in West Bend and see what's happening there. What I've realized is that when I go out and I actually physically see that, instead of just read about it and see the impact and the amount of people that are using it, it starts to bring a little bit of value that, even if I don't, there's a lot of value here with people that are. So I challenge everybody that if you're questioning about what our campuses are like, go check them out. And then you'll be able to make a better decision if you think this is a good investment.
I guess I was supposed to show that first, so I don't know that it makes a difference. Any final questions? Did anybody on my team look up the operational costs? Is that available? We'll actually put that information on our website. Thank you for the questions. If not, I welcome you to stick around and talk to me if you have additional questions. Otherwise, thank you for joining us this evening. And if you have anything else, please let me know. Thank you. You look like you have more.
I have a question. Is we give all these student loans. How, I mean, if you're giving student loans, how do you expect to expand here when there's no money coming in from them paying you? You can't, to me, you're expecting the regular